Small but mighty. Probably the best way to describe the 𝗬𝗪 𝗦𝗧𝗏 anamorphic lens. Now, as someone who has used Atlas anamorphic lenses a handful of times in his career, which are significantly both much bigger, much heavier, and much more expensive, when I first got this in my hands, I knew the ultimate question to ask was, does size really matter? Seeing pictures of this, it kind of looks like a toy lens, like it's not really made for professionals, right? Well, I can tell you in the hand, it's got a fantastic weight to it. It's only 425 grams for this model and just under 4 inches long, but this whole front third of it is made from a carbon fiber material, which really helps because this lens is primarily designed for gimbal use, the DJI Ronin 4D, and drones. Because again, other industry standard anamorphic lenses like the Atlas Orions would never fit on a consumer drone gimbal. Now, when I got this lens, I actually got it before I ever even knew I was going to be getting a DJI Ronin 4D. So unfortunately, I got the RF version. So I'm not going to be able to currently show you what it looks like on the 4D, but I would love to do a follow-up video if I can get a new back mount to swap the RF to DL. I don't know if that's fully possible, waiting to hear back, but it just so happens that Canon reached out a number of weeks ago and asked if I wanted to check out the C70 for a couple weeks, and of course I said absolutely, because it's a camera that a lot of my friends have, they love it, and I wanted to see what was to love about it as well. Dedicated C70 video in the works, coming very soon. Make sure you're subscribed. But for now, I thought it would be the perfect pair to test out with this little anamorphic lens, because a lot of the scenarios that I love to shoot in now as a content creator is extreme run and gun situations. So having a camera like this with 16 plus stops of dynamic range, 4K 120, and a lot of really good specs, it's a great little setup. And when I say little setup, it kind of, again, that looks absolutely hilarious. Now, oftentimes in these videos where I'm talking about cinema cameras, we're forgetting a huge part of the workflow that isn't really talked about all that often, and that is the huge files that can come out of these cameras. We're sharing files to clients, to brands, to fellow creatives to help us edit or color or whatever part of the process. And that's where today's sponsor comes in, Massive. Massive was basically created for filmmakers and creative professionals to send insanely large files in a very secure and fast way. Not only can you upload hundreds of gigs or terabytes of data, the person who is on the receiving end doesn't need to create an account or go through some crazy setup process in order to retrieve those files. Also, Massive allows you to remain in control because you only pay for what you use. You pay per gig downloaded. One of the coolest and my probably favorite feature is Massive Multi-Connect, which for those of you who may not have the strongest or fastest internet connection, this allows you to actually use multiple sources of internet to 3x your upload speeds. My home Wi-Fi's upload speed isn't the greatest, and so now I can use that speed both on Wi-Fi, Ethernet, and even tap in my phone's 5G network, all to help boost the speeds of this upload. Send your first 100 gigs for free using the link down below. And thanks to Massive for sponsoring today's video. When you see the actual image that comes out of this, I was honestly blown away. And not only for its size, but also its price tag coming at around $1,200 to $1,300. I was very interested to see what sort of clarity and quality and characteristics you get out of it. One of the biggest characteristics of any anamorphic that everyone loves or hates is the light streak that you get from the sun or really any sort of harsh light source. If you're a fan of that, like Michael Bay blue anamorphic light streak that is just really prominent in the image, then you can get the blue streak. That is going to basically make the flare blue no matter what color the light source is. Whereas if you go with the neutral one, which is the one I went with, it will kind of take the color of the light source. And to me, I think that is the lot more versatile image. If you're someone like me and loves professional setups, even in a non-professional environment, like filming your friends and family or different events or just going out for the day, this is an amazing setup because while the C70 is kind of a chunky setup, it also has been a great lens to use with my personal Canon EOS R, which granted has much not as impressive specs as the C70, but it's a full frame sensor. And yes, this lens has full frame coverage. And so you can see how small and tiny of a setup this is, but now I'm getting full frame anamorphic 1.6x squeeze on a beautiful 35mm focal length, which is one of my favorites. In terms of fast lenses, it's definitely pretty decent at t2.9. While it's certainly not the fastest lens in my kit, it definitely is respectable for low lights now that cameras can shoot at pretty high ISOs without much of a bother. In terms of filters, while this isn't certainly a conventional matte box size setup, you can actually get 58mm filters like these ones I have from Bscript, which I will link all this stuff down in the description below if you're interested. But these fit on great. This is an ND64. And so if you are in really bright daylight and you don't have a camera that has built-in NDs, or you want a CPL filter or any other type of filter, you can still throw that on the front of this lens. Now, Michael, not every lens is perfect. What are the cons? I'm not really gonna throw as a con, just kind of a thing to take note of if you've never shot anamorphic, and that is the whole de-squeeze process. It's not difficult by any means, but it is an extra step, and some people hate every little extra step. When you are filming with this, if you do not have a camera that has a anamorphic de-squeeze option in its settings, then on your LCD display is going to be a very wonky looking image. And then even once you record it and put it on your computer, you still need to de-squeeze it, which any piece of semi-professional software nowadays can do that. In DaVinci Resolve, it's super easy. Right click, click attributes, and change it from square to whichever de-squeeze. This, I put the 1.5 anamorphic, bada bing, bada boom, you're all done. Now you have a beautiful anamorphic image. But for the actual con for this lens that I just really have had issues with the past couple of months is a pretty rough minimum focus distance. The minimum focus distance of this lens is 3 feet. If you're commonly in very tight shooting scenarios like inside of a car, you may have a rough time with this. For example, some of these shots that I got while sitting in the passenger seat with Michelle, I basically had the camera all the way up to my window. I had the LCD flipped this way and I was looking at it like this. There was no scenario where even if I leaned all the way back into the very corner of my seat, could I get her in focus while shooting. Whereas with my other lenses, my other 30mm or 45s, I can get so close to a subject, still get in focus, and then it almost feels like a macro lens. Now again, if you compare this to other anamorphic lenses, it's in the same realm as them in terms of minimum focus, so it's not like this is the only anamorphic that has a terrible minimum focus distance, but it's something to take note of if you're coming from only other spherical lenses. All of that being said though, I absolutely love having this lens in my kit. It is so small, so compact, but built like a tank. But besides the specialty scenarios of drones and gimbals, I think anyone who wants a compact cinema camera with cinema quality setup is absolutely going to love this lens. It will fit in any camera pack, any backpack, hell, a pocket. A pocket. That's more pocket than my Pocket 6K Pro. And if you're looking to get into anamorphic, I think this is a great place to start.